2026 is the year AI stops feeling like a product update and starts feeling like a new layer of reality. Not because of one big breakthrough, but because of stacked changes that quietly alter how the internet feels, how work feels, and how trust feels. One day people will wake up and realize something is off and they won't be able to name the exact moment it changed. Here's how I'm breaking this down. First, predictions that are already locked in. Second, predictions that are still likely but disruptive. Third, predictions that will shock people, not because they're sci-fi, but because they mess with identity, credibility, and what counts as real online. Before we start, pause and comment the one AI prediction you think is guaranteed in 2026, then see if it shows up. New section content. When even NVIDIA talks about GPU shortages, that tells you demand isn't casual, it's structural. This is the least dramatic prediction, but it powers everything else. Every company is turning AI from a demo into a system that runs continuously inside real workflows. That means more inference, more retries, more agents checking agents, and more background automation. Even as models get more efficient, usage grows faster. Cheaper compute doesn't reduce demand, it unlocks new use cases. Agent workflows multiply compute because they don't just answer once. They verify, search, retry, and chain steps together. The real constraint isn't money, it's supply. The second prediction is that AGI talk cools off, and the focus shifts to deployment and reliability. People won't stop believing in AGI, it just stops being the headline. Boards don't want philosophy anymore. They want simple answers. Does this reduce cost? Does it increase output? Does it reduce risk? The conversation shifts toward enterprise rollouts, evaluation, compliance, governance, and uptime. The winners aren't the labs that publish. They're the teams that ship, integrate, and operate reliably. The third prediction is that robots dominate tech conferences and the demos finally feel real, not because robots become perfect workers. What improves is context. Robots get better at understanding instructions, recovering from mistakes, and adapting to unfamiliar environments without months of training. A robot opening a messy fridge, handling unknown objects, or responding to voice commands doesn't need to be flawless to feel like the future. Demos like that shift capital, partnerships, and corporate urgency, even if mass deployment takes longer. The fourth prediction is that companies start recording how work actually happens and face backlash. This will be sold as productivity, but it will feel like surveillance. The goal isn't catching lazy workers anymore. It's capturing step-by-step work patterns so AI agents can replicate them. The infrastructure already exists. Screen capture, keystrokes, app usage, activity tracking. What changes is the motivation. Workers will realize that training the agent often means training the replacement. By 2026, legal, ethical, and reputational pushback becomes unavoidable. The fifth prediction is that always listening AI tools trigger a major privacy scandal. AI note-takers and meeting assistants are incredibly useful, which is why this is inevitable. Consent breaks down in real life. One breach, one lawsuit, or one legal discovery where recordings surface, and it becomes a cultural moment. After that, people assume they're being recorded by default. That changes how people talk, negotiate, and trust. Now we move into predictions that are still likely but more disruptive. The sixth prediction is that Anthropic goes public while OpenAI stays private. Once an AI lab enters public markets, opacity ends. Public investors demand clarity around revenue, margins, and costs. Private capital allows flexibility and narrative control. This split forces the entire industry to explain itself whether it wants to or not. The seventh prediction is that Sam Altman steps aside as OpenAI CEO in a controlled transition. Not a scandal and not a collapse. Founder-style leaders build vision. Operator-style leaders run mature systems. With massive infrastructure, regulation pressure, and enterprise demands, OpenAI enters its execution phase. If this happens, it will feel boring, which is exactly the point. The eighth prediction is that OpenAI restructures and cuts teams. This isn't doom, it's consolidation. Hypergrowth creates overlap and misalignment. As legal and reputational risk rises, AI companies tighten operations. Restructuring is how that pressure shows up. The ninth prediction is that China's domestic AI chips make visible progress. This doesn't mean China beats NVIDIA on the frontier. It means good enough domestic chips improve along with software compatibility, tooling, and deployment reliability. Once that trajectory becomes obvious, global strategy shifts. NVIDIA remains dominant but no longer alone at the center. The 10th prediction is that Big Pharma acquires an AI protein design startup. Protein and antibody design quietly moves from hype to strategic advantage. Once pharma believes the platform works, partnerships aren't enough. They want the talent, IP, and pipeline. M&A becomes the fastest path. That's how experimental tech becomes core infrastructure. The 11th prediction is that OpenAI absorbs Sora instead of pushing it as a standalone product. This wouldn't mean Sora failed. It would mean focus wins. As companies mature, flashy side products get folded into core platforms where leverage is highest. Now we get into the predictions that are likely but shocking. They happen not because guardrails are strong, but because they're weak. The 12th prediction is that a major court case collapses because a key person never existed. Not a fake name, but a full synthetic identity. Photos, posts, connections, video calls. AI generated but convincing enough to pass through the system temporarily. Courts already struggle with AI-generated filings. Identity is the next fault line. It only has to fool the process once to do damage. The 13th prediction is that an AI-run news outlet wins major awards and then sparks outrage. Not because it's fake, but because it's good. Real sources, accurate facts, strong writing, minimal human staff. When the public learns how automated it was, the debate explodes. Does authorship matter more than accuracy? That fight is coming. The 14th prediction is that a viral leak predicts real events and turns out to be AI. Not an insider, but a forecasting model trained on incentives, cycles, and behavior. The leak becomes a narrative format. Humans trust confident, detailed text. When it's right, credibility skyrockets even if it's just probability plus storytelling. The 15th prediction is that a dead influencer keeps posting and gains followers. This is already half normal. Scheduled content, reused footage, teams posting on behalf of creators. AI just finishes the job. The unsettling part isn't that it exists. It's that audiences don't leave when they find out. The 16th prediction is that AI discovers that being slightly wrong is more persuasive than being perfect. Humans distrust perfection. Minor uncertainty feels authentic. Research already shows LLMs can be highly persuasive, sometimes more than humans, even when accuracy slips. In 2026, someone optimizes for belief change instead of correctness. That's the real risk. The 17th prediction is that entire professions shift from doing work to validating outcomes. Automation replaces first drafts first. Humans become editors, judges, and risk filters. The most valuable skill becomes spotting what's wrong, not producing from scratch. Hiring changes. Fewer juniors, more judgment-heavy roles. That's a structural labor shift. The 18th and final prediction is that people start outsourcing regret to AI. What should I have done? What if I chose differently? AI reconstructs alternate timelines using your messages, memories, and history. It offers closure even if it's simulated. Many people will choose relief. As a bonus, a chunk of the internet will become convinced Mr. Beast is AI. Same energy, same smile, same optimization. No proof, just discomfort. That's what happens when models become normal. 2026 isn't about smarter models. It's about the side effects. Identity scales, persuasion automates, offices record everything, and content quietly crosses a line. That's why the first predictions feel obvious, the second feel messy, and the last feel like cultural shock. Drop a comment and tell me which prediction is locked in and which one people are still underestimating. Thanks for watching.